This week we've had lots of questions about setting up a house for 2 baby rats. So I wanted to say hi to Max, and I'll put your name up on the screen. And this is my little Rosie, one of my old ladies, and this is her sister Poppy. And what we're going to do is just do a summary of the setting up your rat cages, just basically showing you the equipment and why you need to cover the gaps and stop your babies falling. It's a similar thing for the old rats because they're a bit more frail. So basically we talked about the Jenny cage and the furret that opens at the top. Now with the furret, it comes with one platform shelf. This has actually got 4 in because we've got one down the bottom there, and we've got 2 flat hammocks, and we have put our blankets on top of the flat hammocks, so you're covering all the gaps. If I take you to the top and have a look, you can see we've arranged the platforms and the ladders and the hammocks so there is no drop from top to bottom, and that's what you're aiming for, to keep your rats safe. And the same in this one. This one is arranged slightly differently because the old rats have been in there all their life and they always follow the same routes down. So we've put hammocks where they're possibly likely to fall, and on the edges of the corners we've put these corner hammocks from the rat warehouse, which I'll show you one of those in a minute. So you basically, that's got 4 shelves again, and that's got 4 hammocks in that one because that's a slightly bigger cage, and my old girls get spoilt because they are old. So there you go, girlies. And if this had young rats in, we would have a bigger hammock in this corner that went across further and covered that gap under the 2 ladders at the top there. So yes, I'd say probably for the Jenny 4 shelves and 4 hammocks is how we would set it up. And for the furret, we have 4 shelves, but you could have 3 shelves in the furret and 3 hammocks, just making sure there's, look, all the gaps are covered. And I would also suggest these are really good fun for rats, especially baby rats, because they love to climb. If you get the scramble nets, but take off the big dangerous clips that are on them and replace them with those smaller silver clips that we got from the rat warehouse I talked about on one of our other videos. They can also be draped underneath shelves to catch rats. They're not as soft. But if they're right underneath the shelf so the rat wouldn't fall very far onto them, they can actually be used as well as a climbing toy. They can be used to help save your rats. Now I've got a collection of things on the floor here that I'm going to show you. Now first thing I'm going to do is just clip this camera onto here so I have my hands free. Now Max was asking me about using fleece in the Jenny and the furret. Now it isn't a good idea, as what I thought it's not a good idea, but Max suggested could you use tiles to hold the fleece in place of the deep base cages, and yes, you can do that. It is a good idea. We don't have tiles, and we didn't want to use fleece in our Jenny. We did try it, but we actually had a granite slab which is about twice the size of a kitchen or bathroom tile. Very heavy, acts as a cooling pad. Now if you've got some tiles, it'd be roughly 10 centimetres by 10 centimetres, and you get the granite or the marble, or you could use ordinary tiles. Just check, because these are very strong, but with ordinary tiles they can get chipped easily, so you want to check for sharp edges. But you could sit these on top of a fleece in the corners, and it acts to hold the fleece down and also as a cooling pad. So that is a very good idea, Max. Well done. And this is another thing that I've got that you could put over the top of fleece or any cages. A Naturals Chill and Chew mat, water hyacinth. Makes a nice noise. The rats can sit on it. It's not cooling, but they do like to sit and have a little chew, and that's only about £3. Now on its own that wouldn't hold a fleece in place, but with a ceramic bowl in the corner that could also hold one area of the fleece down. So that's one thing that you could do. Now with our fleeces, with our cages, we also have the Savic pink toilet. It comes different toilets, different colours. And we put some of our substrate bedding in there. So this is why we don't use fleeces though. Completely ripped up. We tried in our new Savick cage. We thought we'll try fleeces, but within a few hours the fleeces were just shredded up, and it may be because our rats have been used to substrate bedding, but little holes, big holes, and although they were using, put their poos into the little toilet, they were weeing all over this, and with 6 young rats in there weeing all day long, this absolutely stunk. And we have a water meter, and I found that I was just constantly washing fleeces all the time, and I decided it wasn't worth the hassle, so that's why we're not going to use fleeces. So the other thing you're going to need if you don't use fleece is your substrate bedding. Now this is our Back to Nature, which we've talked about before, dust free, paper based, no additives, and that would cover the base of your cage, and also you would put some of that in your toilet corner, toilet train your rats, and then when you do your daily clean, it's a lot easier just to clean the toilet corner than it is to actually clean the whole of the cage every day. You'd also want some nice bedding. This is the most economical paper bedding we've used, which is a safe bed. And this comes all compacted down. The cheapest way to buy it is in the 2 kilogram pack. You'll need to pull it all out, separate it, and to make some of the strands are quite long, you might have to pull them and split them into smaller pieces. So that's the cheapest paper bedding to use. It makes a nice cosy bed. I'd also suggest you get a wheel for your rats. And the Flying Saucer Chinchilla Daegu size is the best wheel that you can get for baby rats, the safest one. There's no drop, fully enclosed. If you start your rats off with a wheel from a young age, they will use it and they will enjoy it, and it's good exercise for them. I'd suggest that this house is a nice one as a starter house for 2 rats. It will also fit them when they're a bit older, and that's the Savick Igloo, around about £5. There's also the circus house, which is good for hot weather because it has bigger ventilation holes, but if it's winter I'd definitely go for the igloo. I think you really need 2 houses for your rats, a summer house and a winter house. And also the circus houses are really good for floor play as well, because you can attach the tunnels to them. And some people use the Sputniks. We have got them. They're good for 2 rats, but when you've got lots of rats they tend to all try and squeeze in and knock each other out, but they can be floor standing or up the other way. The same thing, they've got quite big air holes in there, and we've had Chloe ill this week and she likes her Sputnik, so we've made her a little cover. We've got a 45cm square of fleece, cut 3 slits in it and just threaded it over the top of there. And then that's basically covering up all the gaps to keep her warm, but you can see there's little air holes down the bottom, and the rats are just popping in underneath, and we've filled it with safe bed paper. So that's how we've got away with keeping Chloe warm when she didn't want to sleep anywhere else. Of course you're going to need some food bowls, and I'd always say heavy ceramic bowls. The little flat bowls are quite good for baby rats because they like to perch on the side of them, so they can't tip them up very easily. And we've got a nice corner bowl here, which is ideal for putting a little bit of water in for not drinking water, sorry, for washing water for your rats. And if you introduce water from a young age, they're much more likely to enjoy water play when they're older. So your food as well. We've talked about that before, Science Selective Rat and the Rat Royal nuggets. Now we've got a mixture there. Now also cheaper to buy the bigger bags from online stores. At least 2 bottles for the cage, and spare bottles because they do break sometimes and you've got to change them regularly. So that's hamster and bunny size, or small and midi depending on the make that you have. So the small size is fine for little rats, but the bunny or the midi size is probably the better one for you. You also want to get some toys for your rats. And don't get huge toys for baby rats, get small ones. Something that we've found very popular is the Woodlands small bulrush ball. they're £1 each. Get a few of those because they're not only for playing and rolling about but also for chewing. I'd get at least one for each rat. Some plain little wood chews that are vegetable dye, so they're perfectly safe. You must have some wood. Also, they're quite cheap. I'd also always have at least one for each rat. There's no squabbling then. The type of chew that attaches to the side of the house is very good as well because they don't get dirty. Just be careful where you place it so it's not somewhere where the rat's going to maybe fall on it. Maybe put it under a shelf. And this type of toy is also quite good with the wood and the rope. We would make sure that we put the toys like this on the ground floor, not on the top where they can get knocked off onto a rat's head. And just nothing too big. Just get some basic toys and you can add to your toys. You're going to want to spoil your rats. So this is our blankets that we make. If you're on a budget for your hammocks, get some plain cheap hammocks. Try and get the ones that don't have any foam filling in because the rats will chew them. Cut a rectangle of fleece, a bit bigger than your hammock, and put a hole in each corner, and then put 2 of those on top of a flat hammock, and you've got a lovely warm cosy hammock with some blankets, and the rats will get in between the layers of blankets and keep warm. And this is the corner hammock that I was telling you about, showed you in the Jenny house. This one's just about to go in the wash. It's got some bits on it, but that's really nice. It has 3 little hoops for hanging, and you hang that in the corner of the cage. It's a nice place for the rats to hang out, and also it protects the corners from the rats falling right down. So all these ones are from the Rat Warehouse. This is the type that's like the double layer, so that's a nice warm one. Again, at this time of the year in the UK it's winter, you need to keep your rats warm. I know if you're in another part of the country you're going to be looking at the granite slabs and keeping your rats cool. Also, Rat Warehouse will make up for you these long hammocks which will go right the way across your cage. You see it's quite a long hammock. Walk the plank or rat catcher, and they're like reversible 2 ways, fleecy and the fleece, soft fleecy and the flat fleece. So that's another way of adding another layer level to your cage, is the fleece that goes right the way across. They are expensive but they're very good quality, very nice hammocks, and so that's all the Rat Warehouse. And I think that's a very quick summary of everything that we've talked about. I don't think I've forgotten anything, and I would say to Max, I'm very impressed, and I hope your mum is impressed with the amount of research you have done this week. If all potential rat owners would research the way you have done, there would be far fewer rats needing to be rehomed. And thank you for asking all the questions. I hope I've answered all your questions satisfactorily. And if you think of anything else, let us know. And everyone else who's thinking of getting rats, really look into it very carefully, like Max has done, and ask questions, me or anyone else that you trust that can give you information on rats. And just find out the cost of everything and what you need. Make sure you can afford to keep rats. It's a good idea before you ever get your rats to start a savings fund, so you've always got money for vet bills and you never run out of food or bedding. And it'll make you a nice responsible pet owner, and your rats will have a lovely safe home where your owners are really thinking about what the rat needs to make them happy and comfortable. So good luck to everyone who's thinking of getting rats, and thank you for watching.